Hey guys, welcome back to Diaries of a 20-something. I'm Paige Marquez, your host, and today I'm going to do a little bit different of an episode format than I normally do. I really just want to level with you guys and be completely honest about a lot of things, not that I haven't before. I just, I share a lot about my life on this podcast and just the internet in general, and I share everything with you guys. And if I'm gonna keep doing that, I figure I may as well be completely honest with you guys just about the things that really matter and the things that have been really affecting me recently. I'm gonna do my best to keep it fun and lighthearted, but unfortunately, I have had a rough month. So let's get into it. So one thing that's really important is I'm going to keep this episode nearly unedited. I'm going to try and keep it as raw as possible without making it forever long, because normally when I film an episode, I end up having these pauses that are a couple minutes long because I like to think about how I want to phrase things, but I really just want to be completely real with you guys and just kind of explain where my head's been at. I think it could help a lot of people who are feeling similarly or just struggling in general. And I want to start off by saying I don't like to use the word depressed. I'm not depressed. I am just going through a couple of unfortunate things at once and trying my best to process. So, one thing I will say is, it's starting to get cold here. The days are short. And honestly, I never really understood seasonal depression before because I've always lived in Florida, and while the days get shorter there, it's different. I don't really know how to describe it, but yeah, obviously it's colder, but it's different. And I don't really know how else to describe it outside of that. But I've definitely been struggling, and it seems like the colder and the more into winter that we get, the worse it gets for me. I love winter. I think there's a lot of beauty in it, but I think there's also aspects to it that really affect you beyond what you expect. And I think the biggest thing is the fact that it gets so dark. I mean, literally by 5 o'clock, it is like what it used to be at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And that's also different. I feel like, from what I remember, at least in Florida, it does not get as dark as early as it gets dark here. Does that make sense? That phrase, right? I have no idea. I'm not struggling in any way when it comes to friends or relationships. Those are all going pretty well, and I'm very grateful to have met the people that I've met here and to be able to build those relationships and grow with them. And when you move to a city like this right after college, you really learn a lot about yourself, just not even just because you move to a city, but just adulthood, being far away from what you're familiar with. And I think that there's a lot of beauty in that, but I also think that there is an adjustment for sure. And while most days I am very happy, there are some days where I literally cannot get out of bed. And it seems like the more into winter we get, the more that is happening. I'm not trying to blame the universe or Mother Nature for how I've been feeling. There have been other factors as well. One being a very, very recent one, which I'm not really going to get into at all because it is very personal and nobody needs to know outside of the people involved. Not that there's many people involved, it's just me and one other person. But that's definitely what's been affecting me the most. And I'm trying to figure out a way to talk about it without talking about it. Um, my whole life, I've had this idea of what I wanted it to look like and what I wanted in a relationship, in marriage, if I even wanted that, in work, just like everything. I've always been not like a type A person per se, but I always I've always set very strict expectations, not so much that they have to be super high, but very specific expectations. And I know that that often sets me up for failure. How could it not? And I remember last year, my New Year's resolution was to let go of like the unrealistic expectations that I give myself and make them more vague and more achievable and don't fill that cup so high, because that's the problem. I set these expectations and I almost believe that they're going to happen and they almost never do. And then I get let down and sad. And this can happen very quickly. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a delusional person. I'm not really delusional. I'm just extremely optimistic, and that often can set someone up for failure in all aspects of life. And I quickly want to talk about work because that has been a really big stressor recently, and I really hope my boss doesn't watch this. Honestly, I don't care. I love my job. I love what I do, but I would be lying if I said that I feel happy at work all the time. I really do love my job. I love what I'm doing. I just constantly feel like what I'm doing is not enough at work. And that could be very internal. I've always kind of been like that. I've always been very self motivated and good under pressure and stuff. But there becomes a point with pressure where there's a line, like you're good under pressure until a certain point. And I feel like that's kind of what's happening to me at work right now. It's not burnout yet, at least, but it's definitely taking a toll on me. And I know I did an episode a little bit ago about work life balance, and that I've been struggling with that more than ever recently, specifically like trying so hard to not take work home with me, but I do nearly every single time. And it's just like my career is very important to me. So not taking it home is very hard to do, especially when my life basically revolves around my job, which is fine. It's like I think that's the way it should be at the point in my life that I'm at. But what I was getting to initially, you have these goals for yourself and an idea about what your life is going to look like and what you want your life to look like. And oftentimes it doesn't work out. Things don't go to plan because life doesn't come with an instruction manual. It's up to chance. I mean, you can work so hard and whatever, but you can't guarantee an outcome for anything. And I've always had this very specific view about what I wanted in my life, but as I'm, adjusting to adulthood, it really is changing. I was always a person that didn't really put too much emphasis on like family time and like not that like I don't like spending time with my family. I don't want it to come off like that. I just didn't really I can't really find the word. It's not like I didn't find it that important. It's just I didn't really realize how deep that goes until recently. And always had these ideas about marriage and how I didn't want kids and just wanted to be work, work, work. Well, now that I am work, 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 that's definitely not what I want anymore. I think it's really hard to have a work life balance if you don't do anything else but work or don't find anything else important or as important as work. Also got a couch today and my Christmas tree, which you guys can't see. Not really. It's not decorated yet, but I'll get there. Just give me a moment. Yeah, you always have these ideas about yourself and what you want in your life, and then they change, and it's okay. And I've had this screensaver on my phone for a while, and it says you're allowed to change your mind about the things that you've wanted, and I think that is the overall theme that I'm trying to portray in this episode. Because for me, at least, I'm a very stubborn person, you could say, about specific things. And, I always said, like in college and stuff, that even if I changed my mind about wanting kids, I would never admit it because I've had this portrayal. I've been putting up this portrayal of a person that didn't for so long. I would never admit that I changed my mind. You know what I mean? But I think, I don't know, it's just everything changes and you realize how stupid that is and how short life is and how important it is to actually want what you want and let yourself want what you want. Like, there's no shame in changing your mind about something, especially something that big. Um, I'm not like just trying to talk about kids this entire time. I don't know why my brain keeps going to that, but like with everything. And I know this is probably going to be a shorter episode, and if I'm going to be completely real with you, I had a totally different plan for this episode, but this week played out a certain way, and I decided that that is going to have to wait for next week. And because this week I really just need to level with you guys, and I feel like it's really important to share with you guys how I've actually been doing. And how I've been doing is very hard to explain. I could say overall not good, but not horrible either. I mean, I have good days and bad days. Today is definitely a bad day. Basically depends on how much I distract myself that day, whether it's a good or bad day. Today I don't really have any distractions. So it's not a great day. And I'm not trying to like get on here and like be emotional and weird. I'm just like, I'm not like depressed. Like I don't want to say I'm depressed. I'm just like going through a very big rough patch right now. I have been a little bit the last couple weeks just because of what I think to be seasonal depression. However, the last couple days have really affected me in a lot more ways than I would have imagined. So I'm just trying to work through that. And I didn't want to not put out an episode, but if I was going to put out an episode this week, this is basically the only way I could do it. I just want to tell you guys that it's okay to prioritize yourself. It's okay to take a step back. And unfortunately, in the real world, we can't always take a step back because we have financial obligations and stuff. Do I think a week off from work would do me very well? Absolutely. But can I afford to take a week off? No. But yeah, it's just about prioritizing self-care and prioritizing what you need. Because at the end of the day, you are all you've got. And my dad's going to watch this and like be like concerned. And I'm fine. I think I just need a little break. Not from this. I love podcasting. But just like from everything else, if that makes sense. That's kind of all I got for now. I really didn't want to skip putting an episode out this week. It's literally Thursday. This is going to come out tomorrow. I also have a vlog coming out from last week, but I haven't had the motivation and just like the energy to put towards editing it, but it's a little bit there. Will probably come out next week. I've always been a person that was always like, life's tough, get a helmet, and I still believe in that for sure. Like, that's what being an adult is. Like, does get tough. And I actually wrote about this in one of my articles that I wrote for CKTH. Like, it's like about adulthood. It's one of my favorite articles I ever wrote. It's called "Thrown into the Trenches of Adulthood." And thinking about the title, my dad used to laugh about the title and just be like, "What do you know? You know, like what did I know? I knew nothing." But I think I know now, or at least a lot more than I did, and I love my life. I love where I live. I'm not trying to be like, "Ah, moving here was a mistake." I don't want it to sound like that because I don't mean that. But I do wish that before I moved here, I took advantage of the fact that I wasn't working, and I wish I did let myself enjoy it. I didn't really let myself. I was so worried about starting my life that I wasn't even appreciating the break in it that I had. But trying to think if there's anything else I want to add. I think I'm just having a bad week, or a very overwhelming week. I don't want to say it's bad, just everything happens the way that it's supposed to, but a very overwhelming week. And I could sit here and be like, "Oh, it's unfair. Like, I don't deserve this, whatever." And like, may be true, may not be true. Who the knows? The reality is that it's happening. And I can either deal with it like an adult and move on and learn from it and grow from it, or I can dwell on it and be left behind. It's kind of how I see it. So here I am, no script, no outline, no makeup, no armor. I just really wanted to get real with you guys this week about just how I've been. I'm sorry if this episode makes no sense because I literally did not prep for it at all. But sometimes we do what we can. Sometimes I can't do it. So I hope you guys have a great weekend and week. And next week we will be talking about what I teased last week, which is getting back into your passions and realigning yourself with what you truly love when life gets busy. It's already planned and everything. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you're here, I'm sorry it was a little boring. This was Diaries of a 20-something, episode 23, I think. I appreciate all of you, and I love you. Mwah. Like, share, and subscribe. See you guys next Friday.